I want to say good evening to you. It's Sunday on my side of the world. It's Monday morning on some other people's side of the world. But why I'm coming to you Sunday, I thought I was going to wait till Throwback Thursday to talk about what the topic is posted. And that topic is suggested that it's talking about family. And this request came in from a cousin of mine, and I really want to address it because I think that it's been so profound that so many things that we perceive as family is very, very important to discuss. And so one of the things that I did realize is that family is a very difficult thing to discuss. And even with all of the knowledge that I have acquired over the years and all of the experiences that I've had over the years, there have been some amazing stories that have led me to even have this discussion or even believe that I'm capable of having this discussion. And it's really not for me to be the expert in this area, but it's for me to share some intuition, for me to share some insight, for me to share some things that may be a dynamic that can help you through some issues that you are currently having in your family structure. And so one of the things that I always looked at is family is like the tree, and there's the roots, and we all understand what the roots are, you know, our ancestors and where we come from and what makes us what we are. And then there's the bark of the tree, which actually in reality is us. Even though we're going to talk about some of the aspects which sort of affect us or develop us, we're that bark of the tree. And then the amazing thing that really talks about, and really the amazing thing which develops the concept of family, are the branches. Because in reality, a lot of times that if we plant a tree that bears fruit, all branches will not produce the same fruit that develops the same way that some other branch may develop. And so what I really want to do is, when I circle back to this whole concept of family, I really want to talk about how these branches produce the particular product or the particular fruit from which it was supposed to bear. And so three things I'm going to concentrate on this evening, and I'm going to take my time because I want to make sure that everybody really truly understands what I'm talking about. And when we talk about family, one of the things that we really believe is that our family is supposed to support us and supposed to be our backbone to the end, And family is supposed to be that individual or that group that no matter what our journeys may be, that we can always go back and lean on family and say, you know, I made a mistake. But one thing that I think is very real and most people don't understand is that we are human. And so we all have our ups and downs. And one thing that is really profound is that in most cases, the people who are the quickest to talk about our downfalls are family. Not saying in particular that any situation that is engaged or has to do with anything that has to do with me personally, but I do bring in my situations into these conversations because I want to let people know that I am real and that, you know, my growth is coming from situations that I experienced. And one of the things that I really want to highlight is that I have a mentor, Professor Jenkins, who, when I first started doing the work that I did, I was younger, and he advised me that, he said, you are really not ready to discuss some of these things. And I was like a little taken back by that, is that I told him I put my work in. And I was ready to discuss some initiatives that dealt with, you know, African-American males. And some of the things that I realized was that these come from experiences. So there are people out there who believe that they are so versed in particular topics, but there's some things that you can't learn until you've lived them. And life experiences are a lesson that no book has ever produced. And so, I'm not taking any knowledge or any information that young people have obtained, but there are some things that when I was 30 that I could have never perceived happening at the age that I am now, which is 31. But anyway, so I just wanted to say that there's so many things that you learn from experience that are totally different from what you can learn from a book. And so there may be people who may say, well, that wasn't actually valid because research says this. Well, let me tell you about research. Research is only based on the individual's work that has actually gone through the experience. And so when we talk about family, for many of us, we look at our family structure as being in this country, if we're especially people of color, we look at this as being something that is attached to slavery. And slavery is not our beginning. And I want to say that slavery is definitely not our beginning. And we have to look at the amazing accomplishment and the amazing feat that they defeated slavery. Now, was everything fair after slavery was defeated? Not at all. And so some of us started at a disadvantage. Some of us started at a deficit. But what has happened is that there's been so many things that have been put in place for us to dismantle the family that many of us have lost the true definition of family. And so I'm going to talk about the first thing I think is financial. And I was talking to a friend of mine tonight, and one of the things that we talked about is that in reality, if you look at the people who are my age, when you look at my parents and you look at my grandparents were actually the first generation of individuals who had been set free by a proclamation, Emancipation Proclamation, a statement that said you were allowed to now be free. But in reality, due to the fact that they did not allow them to read or to have communication with the outside world, many of them didn't know they were free until years later. And then once that happened, the slave master would then tell them that due to the fact that now they've been free for so many years and they've worked their land, that they owe them rent. So you have to work that deficit off, which then allowed them to then become unpaid labor for many years. And so a lot of us weren't, a lot of the families were not given the opportunity to understand financial independence. And so there were some individuals who then came up and were able to work during the industrial phase in places that gave them the opportunity to take care of their families, but it was something that never would give them the opportunity to obtain wealth, right? Wealth is generational. Rich is being rich is, what is the word I'm looking for? Being rich is within a particular group of individuals. So I could be rich, but my parents may not have been rich, and my children may not be rich unless they inherit and take on what I have actually obtained. And when we do that, then it becomes generational and it becomes wealth. So there's a difference in being wealthy and being rich. So I want people to really understand it. So when we look at our families, we have to look at our family structure. A lot of our parents, grandparents came from situations that were not able to develop wealth. And so they were not able to pass that information on to us. They just told us something that I'll probably talk about on Throwback Thursdays, is that we had to be twice as good as white people to be successful. And so what it did is it really developed a group of individuals who really worked really hard to become very successful in whatever they did, because in the back of their mind, they were always competing against sort of the power race. And so it became very evident that we had to work hard, and we had to work really hard. And so when we accomplished something, we really celebrated it. And so when we talked about family, family was that. The individual who was successful, we all celebrated. But we lost that. We lost that. What we did is we now took on the definition of that. You know, if I become successful, then I did that by myself. But you have to realize that the innate trait and the innate development of your success came from people who you saw, people who transferred that genetic trait into you. And so you weren't successful by yourself. And that's where we lost the dynamics of family. Also, family used to be that we lived in a community that was also celebratory of what the accomplishments were, whether they were small or whether they were medium or whether they were large. And so many times now we have lost that. We have lost the fact that family is, again, what I said before, is quickest to talk about what you did not accomplish. And that comes from them not being able to accomplish what they thought they should have accomplished. And so what is the best way for them to feel empowered? They talk about somebody who they have a great understanding of their failures. And so we may say we're not doing it intentionally, but let me tell you about this person. Now, that person may be your child. That person may be your cousin. That person may be your aunt. That person may be your mother. That person may be a distant cousin, but that person is still attached to your most precious circle, which is called your family. And so when we do that, all we're doing is destroying we're sending toxins into the root of our existence. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, I want you to do this. If it doesn't, I'm going to stop right here and tell you that if it doesn't make sense, what I want you to do is contact me by email at rorytedwards1@gmail.com. Once again, rorytedwards1@gmail.com. And we can have that discussion a lot further, because I just really want to understand and tell you that the only way you kill a tree is to kill the root. And so to kill the root means that you subconsciously, unconsciously, or consciously attack the root. Because sometimes you may attack the bark, but the bark is so strong because of the resilience of the root and the deepness that the root has planted that you can never destroy the tree. But what you do, if you attack the root, then what you do is affect the fruit, right? And so let me say that again, because I don't think you heard me on that one. Once you attack the root, the only thing that you destroy or affect is the fruit. And so if you affect the fruit, what you do is you affect your legacy. And so many times our families have been our greatest cheerleaders. But again, they also have been some of our greatest nemesis. They have talked about what we did not accomplish. They have a scorecard on how good you did or how bad you did, but most of the times they talk about how bad you have done, due to the fact that they are also a contributor to your not knowing. That's like this, like I said all the time. If you don't know, you can't say that you don't know. You don't know until you realize you don't know. But in most cases, it's based on the fact that we don't share knowledge. We don't share some of our shortcomings so that other people can prevent us sort of tripping over those obstacles. And so when we talk about family, we got to talk about that family is supposed to be our greatest supporter. Family is supposed to be the one that celebrates us in victory and defeat. Family's supposed to be the one that comes and tells you no matter how bad it may seem, you have a team behind you that is going to support you no matter what. Regardless of what you've accomplished in your life, it's still your duty to support someone else's journey. Regardless of the fact that you have the information or not to move them forward, you find someone who is able to move them forward. If we look at our family structure, a lot of us have so many dynamic and innovative family members that we never even utilize them because we're so busy trying to be our own silo of expertise that we never use our family. And sometimes we don't ever know our family. but it's all based on the fact that you have to know thyself before you can know thy family. And knowing thyself means that you know one of the things, there's three things that you can never change, and you have to know these. There's three things in life that you can never change. One is your family, your mother, your father, your siblings, your cousins, all of that. You can never change that. You have no control over that. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you can never control the day that you die. And the third thing is that you can never control the outcome of your choices. You can never control the outcome of your choices. Now, why did I make that third? Because so many of us make choices based on our family structure. We make choices based on who our family name has been. You know, if you have a family who has been controlling stuff from day one, you never want to break ranks because it makes you seem that you're weak. But if you have a family who has done miraculous things, sometimes you want to break ranks just to see what the other side is experiencing. But if success is what you're trying to achieve and your family has succeeded, the best thing for you to do is follow that pattern. Many of us who have been successful at being relevant in the community, in life sometimes become just regular. So I'm gonna say that again. Sometimes if you become successful in your younger journey, you just become regular in your adult journey. And so because of the fact that the structure is only viable during a period of time for which you are existing in that period, and everything that elevates you needs a new perception or a new perspective on how you advance through that process. And so when we talk about the root, we have to water the root to enhance the fruit. And so if we're unable to enhance our fruit becomes our fruit. So for me, if I didn't do what I needed to do to give my children the best opportunity to be successful, then what I've done is I've allowed toxins to affect the root. Because I say in my book, So You Want to Be a Professional Athlete, the only thing that my father said before he passed was that when he was able to give me was his name. And so how I stand on that name is so very valuable. And so for most of us, when we look at certain things, are we actually able to give our family name the actual valor for which is attached to that? No, so no matter how much your family name is attached to things, it's what you carry, that shield moving forward, to say that my family or my name is of value. And so as we move forward, the third thing that I really want to really talk about is that we can't be judged by what our family thinks, because we are responsible for our family continuing regardless of what those who came before us or those who produced us believe that we should be. Everybody believes that we should be something that their perception of what we should be is sometimes misjudged because of the fact that they haven't done what they should have done to make us successful in our journey. And in a lot of cases, our family is not what they have professed with their mouth. They say they want more for us, but they haven't given us the tools to become more, because in so many cases, they have not fulfilled their particular journey. So what they do is they just tear down your journey because they believe that you're supposed to be in the same place that they are. And it's not because they haven't had the tools or the opportunities to become successful. It's because they have chosen to be comfortable in the condition for which they are in. I will never be comfortable in any condition. I believe that as a child of God, I was given the opportunity to be the most successful that I can possibly be. And there's no man or no woman who can judge me for where I am in my life, because once you begin to judge, then you become stagnant. And when you become stagnant, then you become not relevant. And so when we talk about family, family is something that is very complex. Family is something that is very hard to truly understand. But one thing about family is that family should have your back until the day you leave this earth. But if they don't, you shouldn't worry about it, because your mission on this earth is to make sure that your family has the best opportunity to be the most successful that they can possibly be. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end with this story that really sums it up for me about family. And so there was this man who was a woodsmith, or he chopped trees down. And so one day what happened, he was going around looking for work, and he ended up going to this particular logging organization, and he asked them, did they have any jobs? And they said, yeah, we do have some jobs. And when are you available? He says, I'm available immediately. And that's things that we have to understand in our family dynamics, that we are available immediately to understand what we need to do going forward. But he says that I'm available immediately. So the gentleman says, okay, I have a patch of trees that I need for you to chop down. And the gentleman goes down and he starts working. And within the 8 hours, he chops down 17 trees. And he comes back and reports to the guy at the office that he chopped down 17 trees. And the gentleman says, that's amazing. He says, I definitely like the way you do things, so I would like for you to come back tomorrow. So when he comes back tomorrow, he actually goes to work. He's working a few hours more, and he only chops down 13 trees. And when he comes back, he's baffled, and he says, sir, I put in so much work today and only chopped down 13 trees versus 17 trees that I chopped yesterday. And the guy said, it's probably just mere the fact that you chopped down trees that were in a more dense area, that the root was deeper, and it took a lot more effort for you to chop down those particular trees. And so he says, okay, he says, come back tomorrow. So he comes back tomorrow, and he goes back and he works the same amount of hours, only chops down 8 trees. And he's totally frustrated about his accomplishments. And he comes back and he says, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. He says, I chopped down 17 the first day, I chopped down 13 the second day, and I only chopped down 8 today. He says, I really don't have an understanding on why I'm declining when I'm working just as hard. And the gentleman says to him, when's the last time you sharpened your axe? And he says, huh? He says, when's the last time you sharpened your axe? And he says, I haven't, because I've been so concentrated on working. And he says that all of us in life, we need to make sure that every day we resharpen our axe, so that we are able to complete and compete with the best. And that's what family is to me. It's that we need to realize that every day we need to sharpen our saw. It's never about what the other people are doing. It's always about how we sharpen our saw to move forward in our agenda. You're going to be always a product of your parents, your siblings, your cousins, your family. You're always going to be a product. They're always going to have the opportunity to say what they want to say about you, but it's how you sharpen your axe and what you say about yourself, right? Family is wonderful, but individual accomplishment is much more better, because what you are is you are a carrier of your name. And so if you sharpen your saw every day, you'll be able to chop down 17 trees a day. Please be respectful of where you are in your journey, and accept the fact that where you are in your journey is where you choose to be. You have the ability every day to change your journey. Family is only a name. Family can help you, but family can also destroy you. Because if you're trying to please family who has never pleased themselves, and never pleased themselves, and never pleased themselves, it's all about the root, which develops the fruit. All right? So if you're a fruit of your fruit of a tree that is toxic, please don't feel bad. Just apply as much water that you can to that section of roots and watch the development of the fruits. You are in charge of your life. You're in charge of your destination. Family is amazing, but you could be much more amazing and make that family name much more amazing as you move forward in your life. That's all I have to say. I don't know. I hope it was of value to people who were looking at this family thing. But there's so many dynamics to family, because as the tree grows and the branches branch out, it becomes more dynamic in the growth of a family. But family can only stand based on the root and then the trunk, but it's about the branches and how you develop the most strongest branch that then builds much more stronger branches for people to be able to stand on, for it to support the legacy that you're building. Because at the end of the day, like my father told me, all he was able to do was give me his name. And so my job is to make sure that that name is held in the highest valor that could ever be held. And so for you believing that you are any different is totally wrong. You are in control of your destiny. You are in control, and regardless what family thinks, they need to first think about what contribution they gave to you to be in the condition that you're in, right? That's just my opinion. That's Rory T. Edwards, your mayor. Rory T. Edwards is saying what I believe, and there's so many opinions on family. But I think that once you become an individual, you become your family. You become that branch that is responsible for the outcome of the fruit that will grow from your branch. All right, so hey, Sunday evening, Monday morning for some, we're gonna try to do some things on Throwback Thursday. I appreciate those who are watching this evening, those who believe in the message and the mission that I have spoken or will be speaking or have spoken, and I truly respect your support. Please share this with people. You want to send me some comments, want to ask me some questions, please send me an email. It's RoryTEdwards1@gmail.com. Once again, RoryTEdwards1@gmail.com. I appreciate your support. I appreciate what you do, what you've listened to, how you feel about it. Please send me some comments. Please send me. I don't believe I know everything, but there's a lot of things I do know. And I stay in my lane of strength, and that's where I operate. I never operate out my lane of strength. And I hope that you believe that you are valued. You are valued, and that nobody can put a value on you except yourself. The only way they can put a value on you is if you accept that value. And I don't accept any values except for the ones I place on myself. The name is the root. You are the trunk, but you are the branch that produces the fruit. Produce massive, massive amounts of fruit and be successful in your journey. As family is everything, but family also can be exactly what it is, just your name. But make sure your name is lifted up in a valor or an expressive way that gives you the opportunity to be the best that you possibly can be. All right? Sunday night, Monday morning for some people. But what it is it's time for us to build and to continue to move forward in our journey. You all be blessed. You all be blessed. You all be blessed. It's your man, Rory T. Edwards, and I am gone.